Caiphas Nyoga. Earlier today, the Pretoria High Court sentenced Marais to 15 years imprisonment for the murder. On the 24th of August 1987, Marais, along with 3 other police officers, shot Nyoga 12 times just outside his Daveyton home. Tabiso Koba reports.
In 2019, Johan Marais confessed to a journalist to killing Caiphas Nyoga. He was later arrested and entered into a guilty plea. In mitigation of sentencing, Marais says he could not live with the guilt, which is why he decided to come forward. But Judge Mokina Musupa was not convinced, saying Marais had an opportunity to confess his crimes during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
The accused fully aware that he did not participate in the TRC processes, which had this matter in 1987, wait for almost over 20 years to disclose what he did in 1987. I'm not persuaded that the accused indeed had a true appreciation of the consequences of his actions.
Out of the 15 years Marais was sentenced to, 12 of those are direct imprisonment. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
The European Court of Human Rights has ruled in favor of South African Olympic champion Caster Semenya. The court has found that Semenya was not given a fair hearing after she was discriminated against because of her naturally elevated testosterone levels. In 2019, Semenya was barred from competing in certain women's track events after World Athletics introduced regulations requiring female athletes with differences in sexual development to medically lower their testosterone levels. Semenya initially challenged the rules at the Court of Arbitration for Sports in Switzerland, but her case and several appeals were dismissed. But today, the court upheld a 2023 decision in Semenya's favor. Mongezi Koko reports.
I've reached a point in my life to say, look, you may question me, it's fine. At the end of the day, I have my purpose. Even if you poke me, it's okay. Even if you judge me, you criticize me, it don't matter.
The ruling is seen as a landmark for Semenya, a 2-time Olympic champion, and for other athletes with similar conditions who have also been excluded or forced to take medication to compete. The court found that Swiss authorities failed to adequately protect Semenya's human rights, including a right to an effective legal remedy. It's unclear how soon or if World Athletics will revise the rules, which remain in place for now. World Athletics has previously defended the regulations as necessary to preserve fairness in women's competition. Mongezi Koko, Eyewitness News.
The Democratic Alliance has officially laid criminal charges against Police Minister Senzo Mchunu, arguing he committed fraud by lying to Parliament. The DA joins the official opposition MK party, which has also taken the legal route by opening a criminal case against Mchunu, as well as Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya. The DA says it won't stand by and watch ministers lie to Parliament, an institution tasked with holding the executive to account. Babalo Ndenze reports.
The DA returned to the Caledon police station in central Cape Town to lay criminal charges against Senzo Mchunu just 9 days after laying similar charges against Higher Education Minister Nobuhle Nkabane in a separate matter. The party says Mchunu clearly misled Parliament in March when he told the police committee that he did not know businessman Brown Mokgotsi. Yesterday, Mchunu backtracked on his earlier denial, saying he actually knows Mokgotsi. DA Deputy Chief Whip Bax Notata says this admission is a clear violation of the law.
So that means he deliberately lied to members of Parliament, which breaks Section 27, and ultimately breaks the Powers and Privileges Act, which means that he deliberately misled Parliament and members of Parliament.
Notata says in addition to the criminal complaint and a parliamentary inquiry into Mchunu, the party has also approached Parliament's Ethics Committee to conduct its own investigation. Babalo Ndenze, Eyewitness News, Cape Town.
E-hailing operations at the OR Tambo International Airport have been brought to a halt as drivers down tools over the impounding of their vehicles. Dozens of drivers are protesting today, raising frustrations over the lengthy process to acquire a permit. The drivers say the delays result in their vehicles being impounded. Sibusiso Mgyale is one of the striking drivers, and he says Uber has ignored their pleas for support.
Currently, we're going to make sure we're not going to operate up until Uber responds to our grievances and they give us something solid. So far, no response.
And Pakistan police have arrested 149 people in a raid on a scam call center. The country's Cybercrime Investigations Agency says the large call center was involved in Ponzi schemes and investment fraud. The agency says 71 of the arrested suspects are foreign nationals, mostly Chinese. Gold's trading at $3,325.70 an ounce. The rand's at 17.73 to the dollar, 24.12 to the pound sterling, 20.80 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $70.19 a barrel.
Leaving Randburg heading towards Four Ways, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is due to roadworks on the N1 northbound between Relebogile Drive and Winnie Mandela. There's also slow-moving traffic in the Edenvale area heading towards Bedford View R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis interchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Randburg, Malibongo Drive and Mahogany.
Clear skies in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of 17 and 18 degrees. Cape Town's cloudy with light rain and a high of 15 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. The Pretoria High Court says it does not believe former apartheid-era police officer Johan Marais was truly remorseful for killing student activist Caiphus Nyoka.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Walk through history, walk with it. Sunday, 27 July, 7:02 Walk the Talk. Hosted by Freedom Park in the city of Tshwane. More on primemediaplus.com.
You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Seven minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome 7:02 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja, on this Thursday, the 10th of July. Let us get into it. We've got a couple of things lined up for you in today's show. The first one, be honest, and you can be anonymous. Do you lie to your doctor or medical professionals with anything? And I want to hear from the medical professionals as well when you know patients are lying. I want to hear from all of you on that one. Do you lie? And it can be about anything. Let me know. Belief matters. We're going to talk about the difference between anointing oil and holy water. We'll be joined by Pastor Masisi Tebalo, who will be coming through from Promised Land Church of Jesus Christ. And then the second hour of the show, you know how we do on a Thursday. It is Wendy Nola Day on Nola Knows, and we'll be talking about important consumer hacks as well as opening the lines up for all of your consumer rights issues. So get in touch with us on 011 8830702, SMS us 31702, tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons. And the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
7:02 afternoons
With Relebogile Mabotja.
on 7:02.
Let's walk the talk.
I'm gonna be real with you guys. If you want to know how this conversation came about, it's because I wasn't truthful with my doctor. Yeah, I was not 100% honest. But in fairness, it was not like the dishonesty that was going to be a life and death type of situation or anything major. But I want to find out from you, because I just was like, yeah, I lied to my doctor. When they ask you those questions, particularly medical questions, it might not be your doctor. It could also be your insurance. It could be all of those things around medical issues, where they say, you know, they ask you how much you drink, and usually they'll say how many glasses of wine a week. I feel like sometimes I don't really say how much I drink. And sometimes it's just not at all during a period, but also when maybe it is a little bit more than usual during a period, I might just be like, yeah, Boma, Boma, 3 a week. Right? Sometimes when they ask you about, the pain levels, Okay, those things I don't lie. I don't lie about symptoms. I do not lie about symptoms because I want to absolutely make sure that if there are issues going on, I can be sorted out. But the ones when they ask you like, okay, they'll go through those standard questions. I don't think I'm the only person who does this, but I want to hear from all of you because we've been checking out to see online the types of things that people lie about to their doctors. It could be a specialist. It could even be your therapist. Maybe your therapist and you agreed that you're going to do X, Y, and Z to move forward. Now, the next time when you meet with your therapist, maybe they don't ask you, but you withhold significant information that you should be saying. Maybe you're like, I actually did go back to that person. Or, I didn't actually stand up for myself in that meeting because you're ashamed that I should have been, I should have made a better choice in this situation. But here are some of the things that people lie about. Patients lie about the number of sexual partners that they have or have had, or the engagement in risky sexual behavior out of embarrassment or judgment. And it's not really that doctors will ask you like how many sexual partners you've had, but maybe you're going for a vitality or any of those things. When the nurse comes, if you've done insurances or life policies, they'll ask you some of these questions. If you're joining a new medical aid, you're going to fill out those forms. Maybe you don't say. Like some of you might be ticking that you have tested for HIV when you have not. Because in your mind, you're like, let me stay negative by just not testing. Other people have lied about contraceptive use, where they will say that, how they use their contraceptive. Maybe they say they are religious and consistent, and maybe they are not. And those things obviously can lead to unintended pregnancies, STIs, and other things as well. Alcohol consumption. So apparently there is a study that said that people underreport their alcohol intake out of fear of judgment and wanting to appear, in inverted commas, like normal or the average person. So a study found that 50% of men and 30% of women have lied to their doctors about how much they drink. Smoking is another one. Patients often downplay or deny smoking to avoid the stigma associated with it. So another one showed, a survey had showed that 46% of people have lied about smoking to their doctors. This is according to Term Life to Go. Diet. You have patients that exaggerate their healthy eating habits or downplay unhealthy ones like consuming sweets or junk food. I mean, can you imagine when the doctor asks you, how much exercise do you do in a week? It's not easy to say none. It's not easy to say the exercise I get is from my garage door to my car door and back. That's not an easy thing. So there will be people who overreport the physical activity that they do, which seems to be quite a common lie, with many people minimizing the time spent just sitting or exaggerating the intensity of their workouts. Medication and substance use. Many patients will claim to take their medications exactly as prescribed when they haven't taken it exactly as prescribed, either due to forgetting or the cost or even the side effects. Can you imagine in this economy? I hear about individuals in the US where things are so expensive in their healthcare system. What they will do is they will get the antibiotics, and you will know you have to complete the course. But what they do, because times are tough, so let's say the course is an antibiotic course that is a 5-day course twice a day. So they will take the antibiotics until they start to feel better, and then they'll stop and put them aside so that if they get sick again, they have a batch of antibiotics. It's hectic, hectic, hectic. Then we've got the drug use. If doctors ask you if you are using illegal and legal substances, there are many people that will not be upfront about it out of fear of legal repercussions or even just judgment from the doctor. And then supplements. Some patients do not say what supplements that they are using over and above their prescribed medication. So I want to hear from all of you just in terms of what are the things that you are not honest about when it comes to conversations you have with your doctors. If you were a fan of that medical series called House MD, absolutely loved it with Dr. House. And one of the things he would always do in his very unethical behavior, he would tell his team of doctors that he was leading, that one thing about patients is patients always lie. And because patients always lie, when they're presenting with symptoms and certain signs and they're telling the doctor, oh, I do this, and the doctor will ask, do you have this in your house or do you do this? And the person would say no. So part of the story is that he would regularly send his team of student doctors to break into the patient's house so that they could check, because he said one thing about patients is that they always lie. So I want to hear from all of you. Feel free to be anonymous, or you are a medical doctor, or somebody who works in the space. You are a nurse, maybe you work at a lab. Tell us of the lies that people tell, or the exaggerations, or the underrepresentation of what they actually are doing, taking, not doing. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702 Afternoons
with Relebogile Mabotja.
All right, we take your calls. 011 883 0702. We go to the lines. We have Bahlengwe from Pretoria. Hi.
Hi, good afternoon. How are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
I'm good. No, I wanted to comment particularly on the blood donation questionnaire that they ask you when you donate blood. It's an exam. They will ask you questions about how many times do you have, how many partners that you have been using unprotected sex and things like that. I mean, honestly, people they do lie. They do lie. I've filled in many times. Some questions I don't honestly answer them.
Really?
Honestly.
Which is the one you think people lie the most about?
I think it's the one with sex partners and what. How many? When did when you did not sleep with the other one using unprotected sex?
So the way you are laughing.
It's like they've seen you. Those questions. Yeah.
No, but what do you think can get us to a place where we are more honest about some of the questions that are asked? Because I mean, I even remember going with a friend many years ago to go donate blood. No? So we're doing the questionnaires, and I realize after they test my blood that I can't donate because I don't have iron. Then he's telling me, hey, bruh, I can't donate. So I'm like, how gang? I'm asking. But he pulls me aside because he's so embarrassed to tell me he's on hair loss medication.
Yeah, but especially on the partners, what questions they are, I can tell you now. Most people are not honest, including myself.
Oh, so you're not honest. What do you lie about? Do you lie about the alcohol or the exercise or the diet?
Always on the partner side.
No, guys. Orongo. Orongo. Bahlengwe, thank you so much for your call. I'm pretty sure I've told all of you this before. But the one time when I went to do all of my general whatevers for Vitality in Tonton, so you go and you go to the center and, they weigh you, all of these things. You do a questionnaire, they check your blood pressure, blah, 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 blah. So I'm sitting there with the nurse and we're talking. It's a gentleman. And at some point, we get to the part about sexual partners. So he says to me, ma'am, are you married or are you single? And I'm like, no, I'm not married, I'm single. And he says to me, yo. So we do the test and then he's like, all good. He says, you know, the people who find out in these rooms that they're HIV positive, the people who are the most vulnerable are married women. He's like, women like yourself that are not married, the ones that are single and not married are the most protected. But the ones he worries about, he says, majority of the time when a person is finding out that they're HIV positive, it is a wife in that room who was so confident when that test was being done. So the thing about lying about sexual partners and whether one is using protection, that's a rough one. On the WhatsApp line, one says, hi, Relebogile, those how many glasses you drink? I am like 5 bottles a week. And the type of job I do, I always say I am a till packer. What job do you do? What job do you do that you need 5 bottles a week? And I'm not judging for the 5 bottles because I literally can see how you can get through a bottle a day. That's like 3 big glasses of wine. I can see how that can happen. But what job do you do? Good day, 702. Patients can lie that the condom was broken during sexual intercourse in order to get PEP while they haven't even used that protection. That is from Anonymous. Robbie says, hi team, did you know the most painful part of donating blood is filling in that form? That is from Robbie. And you just made me think about something, Robbie, that maybe many people choose not to donate blood because of those questions and the stigmas. I mean, for the many times that I've gone to donate blood, there's one specific question that comes on that questionnaire. It says, are you, like, what is the reason you are donating? Are you donating to find out if you are HIV positive? That's one of the questions. So some people, instead of going and doing an HIV test and sitting with a nurse, they would rather go to donate blood and use that opportunity because they know the blood needs to be tested to find out if they're HIV positive. But I didn't think about the part that you're actually the form for donating blood is the one that is super stressful. Here are some of your voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Relebogile, we lie a lot to our doctors. We lie a lot. And by so doing, we are killing ourselves. Because if we would be honest with our doctors, perhaps with whatever problems that you have, your doctor could have assisted in resolving them. But doctors are not prophets. They rely on what you tell them, and then they will now tell you what you need to do for you to become better or to heal. So we lie a lot. So I'm one of them, but I have refrained.
Auslebo, now I've learned I don't lie to insurance companies. Instead, when they say, how many beers do you drink a week? I say 24. They worry, do you smoke weed? I say yes. Do you drink and drive? I say yes. I make it worse so that they can cover everything. I don't want anything coming back. These insurance companies, I've seen it. I once worked in insurance. If you lie, it will come back to bite you. So what I do, I over-report. That's what I do. I'd rather over-report than under-report.
I'm so sorry. Do you smoke? Yes. Do you drink and drive? Yes. How many do you drink? 24 a week. But I get what you're saying, guys. Do not ever lie to your insurance. Even if you think, oh, they won't know, do not ever lie to your insurance. Ever. They will find some random picture from long ago. Like, don't lie to your insurance. And you can go back to them if you've stopped smoking, for example. You can, if you want to go and have your premiums reduced, but do not lie to your insurance. Dr. Mata in Vereniging, hi.
How are you?
Good, thanks, and you?
I'm good.
Yes.
So I wouldn't go as far as to say patients lie. I think patients protect themselves, and part of it is probably from the experiences they've had. So we are aware of this as a profession. So we do have ways of getting the truth out. For example, I ask you, so do you drink? And you say yes. And how much do you drink? A case, 2 cases? You're like, doctor, I only drink 8. I've gotten a true number. Whereas you might have said, no, only 3. But a true story, and this killed. I was working in a hospital, and a young girl came in, and she was bleeding. She was having bleeding down there. And I asked her, said, when was the last time you had sex with a man? And she said, doctor, I've never had sex with a man ever. I could at all. Meanwhile, we did a pregnancy test, and the test came back positive. So she was a brand new Maria. But the reason for that was because in order to do backstreet terminations, they go to these guys. They put these 2 pills in the vagina, and then they tell them, when you bleed, go to the hospital. But don't tell them you did this.
Oh, man.
And then the last group of people who, again, try to protect is diabetics. You know, ask them, no, doctor, I'm eating a good diet. I don't eat sweets and nothing. No, I've been good. And then we do a blood test called an HbA1c, which tells us what the blood sugar looks like over the past 6 weeks. And it comes back saying, no, this person's sugar is usually 10. And they tell you, doctor, now when I check it, it's 6 or 7 in the morning. So we are aware that patients do try and mislead us sometimes, but we have ways around getting to the actual truth.
And then, I mean, doctor, what do you advise? Because obviously, like you say, the experiences, not everybody has the opportunity to be in an environment where you're not being rushed or you've been queuing for hours and hours at the clinic, right? What would you advise? Because it's a tough one for both sides, for both parties. You want to get to the bottom of whatever's going on, but you also don't want to go through it while being judged.
So it's a chicken and egg situation, because the experience that patients have at the hand of some of our colleagues lead them to do the things that they do. I mean, when you're taking a sexual history from someone, the idea is to understand what their risk is like. But if they tell you how many people, and you're like, whoa, and so. I mean, obviously, then the patient, next time they get asked their sexual history, they're going to underplay it because they've had that experience. So I think as a profession, we need to be a lot more empathetic. We need to be a lot more listening and less judgmental. And that way, patients will trust the information they give us will actually use to their benefit. But at the same time, patients must realize, if we share a doctor, how I might end up making the wrong diagnosis, giving you the wrong medication, which is obviously going to be far worse because what you actually have is still not treated. So both of us have got a role to play in this.
I'm just so sad with what you said about the individuals that, go and do as you referred to, the backstreet abortions or terminations. So when they say that you must go to the doctor and don't tell them, like, what is the purpose of that other than evading, the legal consequences of what they're doing?
That's exactly it. So basically, they know that they can only do half the job. They can get you to start bleeding. What they can't do is they actually go and clean you up. So in order to not be known that they're doing this, because it's obviously highly illegal, highly unethical, and very dangerous, they then, and obviously these girls would have gone there instead of going to the clinic. They would have gone there because that's the quote-unquote easy way out. Less questions asked. The nurse who's going to do the termination, who happens to be the neighbor at home, is not going to tell my mother that I came to do the termination. So again, it's about the environment that we've created that make people have to resort to such things. But sometimes people are just being silly and they just don't want to tell the truth.
Yeah. So when now the pregnancy test comes out, what ends up happening? What do you say, or what do they say?
Oh, no. I mean, remember, this person, like, Dr. Mafra, I swear on my mother's grave, I'm like, what are you saying about your mother's grave now? And then I leave it because... just leave it alone.
I'm so dead! What were you saying about your mother's grave? Yo, doctor, thank you so much for calling. Yo, guys, I can't imagine now being in that profession. Not only are you trying to get to the bottom of what's wrong with a patient, now you have to decipher if they're telling the truth or not. And then, hey, 072-702 and 702, and the lines will still be open, 011-883-0702. Don't worry, you can be anonymous. It's 1:30. Time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Relebogile. The Pretoria High Court says it does not believe former apartheid-era police officer Johan Marais was truly remorseful for killing student activist Caiphus Nyoka. Earlier today, the Pretoria High Court sentenced Marais to 15 years imprisonment for the 1987 murder. Joburg Mayor Dada Morero says it will cost the city about 700 million rand to fix all potholes that plague the metro. Morero revealed this during the War on Potholes campaign launch in Hyde Park. The city's road agency has started repairing damaged roads infrastructure in Joburg northern suburbs. And e-hailing operations at the OR Tambo International Airport have been brought to a halt as drivers down tools over the impounding of their vehicles. Dozens of drivers are protesting today, raising frustrations over the lengthy process to acquire a permit. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're leaving Randburg heading towards Four Ways, we still have those roadworks causing heavy delays on the N1 northbound between Relebogile Drive and Winnie Mandela. There's also slow-moving traffic heading into the Joburg CBD. This is on Main Reef Road between Anderson and Nasrec Road. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenvale, Motorfontein Road and Van Riebeek. Traffic lights also not working in the Randburg area at Relebogile Drive and Mahogany. I see there's also slow-moving traffic. That's if you're traveling through the Melrose area, M1 southbound. Between Corlett Drive and Ethel Oaklands. It looks like there's an accident scene there. If you are in and around the area, please let us know. SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Where do you think you are now spiritually? Are you more of a spiritual person where you've got a relationship with the Almighty or the higher power, or are you still more religious and church is quite central to your belief?
It's always a good foundation. I'm always grateful for the foundation that I got from the church, but I've become more spiritual now because you need to have your own relationship with God. I found that there's a wider spiritual world out there. I mean, we always in the church spoke of the Holy Spirit, but who is the Holy Spirit? And I found that no, the Holy Spirit is wider than we thought.
Clement
Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Dear Journal, trying to be an adult day 3731. I'm really struggling to explain my parents to my therapist. Might send him to live with them so he can see for himself. What if he ends up in therapy too? Wait, what if they love him more than me?
Finally learning about mental health. Get covered at pineapple.co.za. It's convenient and like 19 Rand a day, so it's 100% the insurance for you. Underwritten by Old Mutual Alternative Risk Transfer Insurer Limited, licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP. Premiums are risk profile dependent.
Checkers XXL Savings is on with the XXL Jackpot competition. New week, new deals, new jackpot. This week, save on Lancewood Cheddar or Gouda cheese 900 grams for $139.99. And buy any 3 Ariel liquid detergent 2 or 3 liters or capsules 14, 21 or 30 per pack. And get the cheapest free. Remember, buy any 3 participating products and get a scratch card to enter. Deals valid until Sunday at Checkers.
Vodacom's Red Hot Deals presents more value. Get the Samsung Galaxy A05s 128 gig on a Flexi 160 plan for just $179 per month over 36 months. Enhance your deal. Add $99 extra per month to get 10 gigs of data and a free Vodacom Smart Tab 8. Available in-store and online. Miss it, miss out. T's and C's apply. Further together. Vodacom.
To walk the talk is to turn words into meaningful actions. And it's what we at 702 are committed to doing every day. We're also committed to following the rules set out by the Broadcasting Complaints Commission's Code of Conduct. To give you balanced programming, fair comment, and accurate news. But if we stumble along the way and you feel we're not living up to the code, let us know on comment@702.co.za. And if after that you're still not happy, you can direct your complaint in writing to the Broadcasting Complaints Commission, PO Box 412365, Craig Hall 2024. For more, visit bccsa.co.za.
702 afternoons.
With Relebogile Mabotja
Lines are always open.
on 011
883
0702.
25 minutes to 2 o'clock. We are talking about lying to medical professionals and doctors. If you've done so out of shame, maybe you've over-exaggerated how healthy your habits are, and you have underrepresented how much you're exercising. Maybe you have not spoken in detail about your risky sexual behavior and all of those things when the doctors are asking. It could be around substances, or maybe you even exaggerate being sick in general because you want to just take some time off work and you need a certificate. It could be so many things. 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. One message says, "Hi Relebogile. There was this man where I had engaged in sexual activity with there was this time where I had engaged in sexual activity with an untrusted lady. However, due to the level of anxiousness I had subsequent to that, I went to consult a doctor instantly, and upon arrival there, I lied of having exhibited specific symptoms such as burning urine and other things that children might be in cars that I cannot speak of right now. So I could be given medication that may detoxify whatever negative that I might have contracted from that lady." This is from Anonymous in Q. Folks, I've lied to doctors to get sick leave for flu, but I have no symptoms. But the problem is when they ask their questions and I need to figure out what to answer yes to and what to answer no to. Let's do. High level. Always be honest to insurance companies, but don't exaggerate the facts, because whatever you disclose affects your premium negatively, as you will be considered high risk when on the other hand you're not. Thank you so much. From Simon. I'm an anonymous dietitian. Studies show that overweight people underreport their food intake and underweight people overreport their food intake. I know that patients lie to us, especially diabetics. Patients also tell me things and ask me not to tell their primary doctor or other treating professionals. You guys do that? I did not know. More voice notes on 072 702 1702.
This is Anonymous. Always when I go to the medical, this company I'm working, they take us to medical each and every year. So each and every time when I go to the medical, the nurse asks me that, are you going to the gym? And I said, no, yeah, always. Each and every Wednesday I go to the gym, but I'm not. Yeah, that's the only guilt I have from this Anonymous in Newlands. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Relebogile and the listeners. Anonymous from Krugersdorp. I am a clinical psychologist, and most times I would know that the patients are being untruthful or lying about their drinking or smoking habits. So usually I would see by their nonverbals where they're describing how many glasses of wine they would have, and usually we'll double that. So if you say 2, then we estimate that it is 4. But it also is not necessarily that they don't want to be truthful with the professionals. It's also about being truthful to themselves, the amount of substances that they use as well. So for me as a therapist, I take it that way, and then we just move on from there. And then later on, maybe I might challenge it and confront them about it if they're ready to deal with it. Thank you.
Hi, Relebogile. I think sometimes people don't lie deliberately, but because of how the question is posed, they might misrepresent the truth. I'm brutally honest. I don't feel I need to hide anything. The only time I've ever embellished was when I went to give blood. After years of giving blood, I went a couple of weeks after getting a tattoo, and I said that it had been over 3 months since getting that tattoo. But other than that, I've been able to give blood after that with no problem. Tidi.
Hi, Relebogile, Thabo from Pretoria. Hey, the other problem, I've got a friend doctor. This guy doesn't keep a secret. And when we are out, maybe going out for a drink or what, he'll always say, "Do you see so and so? He was at my surgery. He's got this particular illness, or this one came with STD, what." So he was a family doctor. I don't use him anymore. Sometimes people are afraid to divulge their secrets to the doctors, especially the local doctor or a family doctor, and we lie to them. Thank you.
Yo, let's go to the lines. Mark, how are you?
Hi, very, very, very good.
Yes, go ahead.
I have an interesting, listening to your call from that dietitian, or the voice note from a dietitian saying that, especially diabetics. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and what I find interesting is that doctors and dietitians assume that diabetics are going to lie to them about their diet, as opposed to sitting from a balance of probabilities. Is this particular patient potentially lying about their diet? Because I had a case where my HbA1c shot up to 8.5, and it was because of a secondary infection, as opposed to my diet was bad, but they assumed that I was lying. So it does go both ways.
And I'm glad you're sharing
the bias
that.
of a doctor, yeah.
I'm glad you're sharing that, Mark, because I see more and more people who come out with stories about how the medical professionals have certain biases towards patients. So I'll give an example. If a person goes into a doctor's rooms and they are overweight, whatever they present with, the assumption will be it's related to their weight. You know what I mean? So even with what you were saying, where if the doctors assume you're lying. So how do you advocate for yourself?
You just keep pushing. No, it's not that. No, it's not that. Until at some point the doctor then obviously turns around and has to give a second opinion, as opposed to, you're just not eating well.
Good for you for actually advocating for yourself, because that must be super, super frustrating. And I mean, being a type 1 diabetic, if people are not tending to the real issue, that is a life and death situation.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark, thank you so much for your call. Mark from Kensington there. More of your messages on the WhatsApp line. One says, Lebo, I want to remain anonymous. My doctor and I have an understanding. I just say, I'm burnt out and I get my note. Hi, Lebo. I once missed work and went to the doctor to get a letter. I lied and said that I had pain in my stomach. He did a sauna and I found out I have fibroids and they were huge. Yo! Maybe that lie saved you. Because, wow, fibroids are a super, super tough one. Hi, Lebo. I'm a nurse of more than 30 years experience, and I've yet to meet a mother who was present when their child got burned. Please keep me anonymous. What? Are they saying what I think they're saying? I'm a nurse of more than 30 years. I have yet to meet a mother who was present when their child got burnt. Oh, so what this person is saying is that in the presence of the mother, a child does not get burnt. Abel, you're shaking your head. She's saying that, are you saying mothers lie and say they were not there? Whew, that's rough. Okay, another one says, I once lied when I just needed a day off. I said I had a terrible migraine until the doctor said I must go to the nurse for an injection. I pretended to go to the nurse and walk straight out of the rooms. Yo, there is so much going on. Okay, so are we in agreement that we're not going to lie to doctors anymore? Are we in agreement that we're going to be honest? And I really do hope that one is also in a safe enough space to be able to share with their doctor. So one message here says, Yo, waitsi likabola batho lying when donating blood. What a chat, Relebogile. As in, you guys will kill people lying when you're donating blood. Another one, Noni says, Lebo, not telling the truth on blood donation forms. My word, irresponsible at its worst, potentially endangering people's lives. No wonder we always have blood shortages, because the blood is tested and tossed. I really, really hope that more of you can at least be responsible in regards to blood donation. Because if you are lying, not only does it take away from the resources, but it can potentially affect the person who is receiving that blood. So please be super, super careful in that department. Another message says, I think my doctor knew when I lied to get a sick note. As I left his room, he said, enjoy your time off. I love it for all of you. We have more voice notes on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Relay. Hey, lying doesn't help, hey? This is Balisa from Santon. I started seeing a dietitian because I just needed help with my nutrition to manage down visceral fat. And for the first few months, I really thought I could get away with sneaking in a glass of alcoholic beverage here and there, and indulging in my favorite dessert and fruit. But the scale never lied. So it doesn't work, people. Thanks for a great show.
I don't live many years ago, a couple of years ago, my mom was admitted to hospital for high blood and all that. And the doctor, I was standing there with her, and the doctor asked her, ma'am, do you drink? And she told him no. And I'm like, Ma, don't lie, She was so disgusted with me saying that, and embarrassed that she lied to the doctor in front of him. She saw me quit drinking right there and then. Anonymous.
You're exposing your mother in front of the doctor. Guys, shame, man. At the end of the day, we think we're being judged, but we literally are just judging ourselves. Thank you for your messages, calls, and voice notes.
John Perlman. Weekday afternoons,
3 to 6.
I have to say, I don't recall for many years now seeing a JMPD officer or two at one of these trouble spots trying to help sort it out. How exactly does the JMPD see its role?
Yes, with our mandates, of course, as Metro Police, we have 3 core mandates, one being crime prevention, other by law enforcement, and thirdly, traffic management, which of course then includes controlling of traffic within the city of Johannesburg. The challenge is with the manpower that we do have within the JMPD.
John Perlman.
3 to 6 on 702.
The Office of the Tax Ombud knows that smart taxpayers do the right thing. They know their rights, understand their responsibilities, and stay compliant with SARS. But even when everything's done right, things can still go wrong. If you've been treated unfairly by SARS, the Office of the Tax Ombud can help independently, fairly, and free of charge. Visit taxombud.gov.za or call 0800 662 837. Office of the Tax Ombud. Smart taxpayers do the right thing.
Quiet, please.
The Wimbledon experience in Mzansi is back at Amex Tennis Town Monte Casino between 11 and 13 July 2025. Enjoy VIP hospitality, the ultimate big screen experience, and more than just strawberries and cream. Buy your tickets now using your Amex card on Howler and get 50% off on limited tickets. Amex Tennis Town, the Championships Wimbledon experience with the Mzansi advantage. Tennis is better with Amex.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium. Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
All football fans, score goals galore with Hollywood Bets in a Super Football Showdown. The finest clubs in the world will go head-to-head to be crowned the best of the best. Ready for your chance to strike it big? Get in on the thrilling action and take a shot at a share of 100,000 Rand in cash or betting vouchers. Bet 10 Rand or more on any club World Cup fixture between June and July 2025. Bet now. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counselling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp HELP to 076 675 0710.
702.
Belief matters.
Exploring culture, traditions, religion,
and the beliefs that shape our world.
9 minutes to 2 o'clock in our Belief Matters feature for today. We're going to talk about the difference between anointing oil and holy water. We're joined by Pastor Masisi Tibalo from Promised Land Church of Jesus Christ. Your questions, comments, 011 883 0702 and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Pastor, how are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good day, Relay. Thank you for having me on your show.
Pastor, let's kick off with holy water. How does water go from water to being holy water, and what is it used for?
Okay, Relay. Thank you so much for the question. Obviously, to address this matter, we also need to align ourselves with the scriptures, which is the Bible, because the practice is coming from Christianity. So holy water usually is the water that is used in practice, mostly in church, where water will be prayed for and then it will be used maybe for protection or for healing. But obviously when we go further, I will then give a scriptural background from where that is emanating from and so forth.
Okay, so when we now talk about anointing oil, what are we referring to?
Right. Anointing oil is also, usually where it comes from is from the Bible, in the book of Exodus, where God spoke about the holy anointing oil, which was usually used to sanctify the tabernacle, the vessel in the tabernacle, and the priest. So it's your usual oil that is prayed for, and then it's applied on people that are sick and so forth.
Okay, so when we come back to the holy water, which, I'm assuming that the clergy member or a priest or a bishop is able to bless that water for it to be holy water, and it'll be used in various ways. But is this, the concept of holy water, actually rooted in scripture?
Not really, Relay. When we look into the scripture, we don't really have a reference of holy water. In fact, the only reference of holy water we have in the book of Numbers, it was on the ceremonial law where God was saying holy water must be used to cleanse the spirit of jealousy, a curse of jealousy upon a woman. But there's never a scriptural reference in the history of the Bible where water was used for healing or so forth. The only time we see water used, for instance, is in case of King Naaman, who was instructed to go and wash himself in the water, and the leprosy was healed. And the second case in the New Testament, it's in the river Jordan, where there was an angel that stirred the river, and the first person to enter in was healed. But we have never seen in the Bible history water used like it is used today, where maybe it's some sort of a product that is sold to people and they must drink that water for healing. There's no such an application in the Bible.
So when it comes to things like a baptism, would the water where a person is being baptized be referred to as holy water?
Not really, because when you mention the word holy, it means it's something that is sanctified. That's why even in the Old Testament, the anointing oil, you could take an ordinary oil, but because it's prayed for, it then becomes a holy anointing oil. And whenever we say it's holy, it means it's designated to be used for godly purposes only. So for baptism, it's only symbolic. It means that any water can work as long as a person is dipped into that water as a symbol that this person is confessing his faith that he died with Jesus Christ and he rose with him again. So there's not really much significance or emphasis on the water itself, but the act that is done.
So there are, though, some variations, for example, with how Catholics and your Orthodox Christians would use a holy water, or even in African traditional Catholic settings.
That is true. It will differ on different denominations, obviously, how they apply things like your physical ordinances. There's not much physical ordinances that the Lord Jesus Christ has left for us. But usually you will see physical ordinances like water, aprons, church uniform, and so forth. You'll find them incorporated in different denominations, but those would not find a scriptural expression, but it will be the dogmas and the traditions of a particular church.
Pastor, thank you so much for chatting to us today on our Belief Matters feature. If any of you would like us to ask any questions of a belief, a religion, any kind of cultural practice or tradition that you're curious about, 702 Afternoons at 702.co.za.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
The Correctional Services Department is investigating how alleged crime kingpin Vusmuzi Kat Matlala gained access to a cell phone while behind bars. Matlala was found with the phone during a surprise raid at the Hosimampuru prison on Sunday, and following the discovery, he was transferred to CMAX section of the prison in Tshwane. Matlala is in the spotlight again after KwaZulu-Natal Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi linked him to Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. Matlala is currently behind bars facing charges of attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder and money laundering.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Seda Communications is a proudly Black female-owned innovation company based in Gauteng and the Northern Cape, using tech, sustainability and entrepreneurship to drive real change, from robotics and coding training to eco-friendly branding like plantable name tags and recycled bags. Seda is all about impact with purpose. They even support last mile delivery and promote tools like the AI toolkit by Dr. Alan Mutono to help grow. Visit sedacommunications.co.za to learn more or partner with them today.
And they're off. Out front, it's Doped Up Glory, followed closely by Whipped Into Shape. Little Too Young making a surprising early push, just 2 years old and already on her second race this week. Duct Tape Dreams taking the outside lane, tongue-tied and terrified, but hey, she's fast when she's scared. Discarded Glory stumbles at the back, used to be a champ, now just waiting for the knackery truck to the glue factory. Halfway through, it's beaten again, cracking the whip literally, pushing through the pain barrier, eyes wide, heart-breaking, lungs bleeding. She doesn't know she can stop. Learned helplessness, they call it. We just call it racing. And at the final stretch, it's Doped Up Glory by a nose. She's done it. Oh wait, she's down. She's not getting up. Oh well.
Cruelty is staining horse racing. The NSPCA is calling for the industry to sign their racing code of conduct to hashtag Rein in the Pain. Show your support at nspca.co.za/Rein in the Pain.
Hi, I'm Dion Free. Winning requires audacity. That's why I joined African Bank and opened a 60-month fixed-term investment account. I'm scoring 12.8% interest at expiry on my investment. How cool is that? You too can join the bank that backs you to grow your money. Pop into a branch near you or visit africanbank.co.za. African Bank. Audacity to believe. African Bank is a licensed financial services and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
In the next hour of the show, Wendy Nolan, our consumer rights feature, Nolan Knows. It's 2 o'clock.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Khomoto Modise. Late former Deputy President David Mabuza has been remembered as a disciplined leader who had little patience for late coming. Members of the ANC have been sharing some of their most treasured moments with Mabuza at a memorial service at the Paula village in Mbombela. Mabuza passed away in hospital last week after battling a short illness. Speaking at the service, ANC youth leader in Mpumalanga Bethuel Zunguza said Mabuza was deeply committed to expanding access to education.
I can count the endless list yabantwana today who are graduates, but was able to assist young people. No wonder we have so much graduates in the
Comrade Titi ungafuna lilanga lonke. Maybe kutawufuna silibhale leli bhuku. Am I right or am I right? Tawufuna silibhale leli bhuku. Some of who grew up with Comrade Didi, who know that he has done all, we have been reflecting this week. Province.
At the same time, the ANC Women's League's Jester Sidal says Mabuza was a father to many.
I want to believe that he did all what he wanted to do when he lived. Even more than he thought it would be, as I said earlier on. He supported young and old. He supported the downtrodden.
The Pretoria High Court says it does not believe former apartheid-era police officer Johan Marais was truly remorseful for killing student activist Caiphus Nyoga. Earlier today, the Pretoria High Court sentenced Marais to 15 years imprisonment for the murder. On the 24th of August 1987, Marais, along with 3 other police officers, shot Nyoga in his Davidton home. Tabiso Koba reports.
In 2019, Johan Marais confessed to a journalist to killing Caiphus Nyoga. He was later arrested and entered into a guilty plea. In mitigation of sentencing, Marais says he could not live with the guilt, which is why he decided to come forward. But Judge Mukina Musupa was not convinced, saying Marais had an opportunity to confess his crimes during the Truth and Reconciliation Commission.
The accused fully aware that he did not participate in the TRC processes, which had this matter in 1987, wait for almost over 20 years to disclose what he did in 1987. I'm not persuaded that the accused indeed had a true appreciation of the consequences of his actions.
Out of the 15 years Marais was sentenced to, 12 of those are direct imprisonment. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Pretoria.
Johannesburg Mayor Dada Morero estimates that it will cost the city around 700 million rand to fix all potholes. Morero revealed this during the War on Potholes campaign launch in Hyde Park, Johannesburg today. The city's roads agency has begun its high-impact work to repair damaged roads in the northern suburbs. Morero says the city is committed to resolving the pothole issue across the metro. He says the project will make its way to the rest of the city.
What we have done, we said we are targeting Region B and Region E. We're starting in this ward, which is Ward 90, and of course neighboring wards. Our commitment is that at least in Ward 90, which is where we are, by mid-August to end August, we should have done all the potholes.
E-hailing operations at the OR Tambo International Airport have been brought to a halt as drivers down tools over the impounding of their vehicles. Dozens of drivers are protesting today, raising frustrations over the lengthy process to acquire a permit. The drivers say the delays result in their vehicles being impounded. Sposiso Mgyali, one of the striking drivers, says Uber has ignored their pleas for support.
Currently, we're going to make sure we're not going to operate up until Uber responds to our grievances and they give us something solid. So far, no response.
And Saudi Arabia has put 2 Ethiopians to death, bringing the number of foreigners executed past 100 this year. The country's interior minister says the pair were executed on drug-related charges. This has drawn criticism from the international community, with Amnesty International calling the executions a relentless and ruthless use of the death penalty. Gold's trading at $3,326 1 cent an ounce. The rand is at 17.75 to the dollar, 24.11 to the pound, 20.79 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $70.19 a barrel.
4-ways roadworks slowing down traffic on the N1 northbound between Malibongo Drive and Winnie Mandela Drive.
Also, traffic is a bit sluggish in the Sandton area heading towards Midrand M1 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Batlu interchange, and look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville at Modderfontein Road and Van Riebeek.
Clear skies in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs between 17 and 18 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour. Late former Deputy President David Mabotja has been remembered as a disciplined leader who had little patience for late coming.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
You are never alone. 702 listens. You're with Relebogile Mabotja.
Live, streaming countrywide
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM.
Six minutes after 2 o'clock, the second and final hour of 702 afternoons with me, Relebogile Mabotja. And we will be taking your calls and opening the lines up to your consumer rights issues. As Wendy Nola joins us in our consumer rights feature, Nola Knows. Get your questions in early so that when we open up the lines, you can be first up in the queue. Give us a call, 011 883 0702, SMS us 31702. Tweet at Relebogile M, at Radio 702 using the hashtag 702 afternoons and the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
702.
Nola Knows.
Consumer rights feature time. Nola Knows with Wendy Nola. 011 883 0702. The WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. Wendy Nola, happy Thursday. How are you?
And to you, Relebogile, I'm great. Lovely to be with you again after a short break.
I almost feel like I got used to you being in studio. Now I'm like, where's Wendy? Why is she not here?
Soon.
Okay, I am so down for that. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so, that saying about experience being a great teacher, but a tough one. Because as former US baseball star put it, and I've forgotten his name for a second, experience, she gives the test first and the lesson afterwards. So in consumer land, it's actually very profound from a baseball player of all things. But in consumer land, when you get, we call it school fees, some very, wise complainants who come to me have lost a lot of money, and then just say to me, well, I'm just going to have to chalk it up as school fees. But
school fees of life, Wendy, school fees of life.
Of life, the hard knocks, the school of hard knocks.
Yep.
But that can be very, very expensive. So today what I'm going to do is I've just got back from a break. I haven't been sending off media queries left, right, and center as I usually do. So I just want to share 3 case studies from my inbox in this past week, because I've been diving back in and checking who sent what. 3 people who are now wiser after the fact. I want to share their stories so that the rest of us can get the free lessons up front, so that we don't make the same mistakes, which is pretty much what most of my work is about, right? But these 3 stood out for me, Relebogile. So the first one is Lawrence and his new car, and he made a lot of mistakes. I'm not mentioning the brand; it's a Chinese brand, because I haven't had a chance to, take up the case and give them right of reply. But this mistake that Lawrence made could apply to many brands. So he sees an advert online for a new car, Chinese brand, and when he phones up, he speaks to the salesperson. He says, what are the features here? And he was told to go online and check. And I'm like, what? Who would accept that? But Lawrence was like, okay. So he goes online. He puts in the model name that he's been given. And, many manufacturers will have a set model, but there'll be derivatives within that model, entry-level spec up to the high-end spec. And the spec, varies greatly. And, of course, so does the selling price. So he was given this particular model, the full model. He goes in, he gets an AI-generated response. You go into Google these days, the first result is AI. And it tells him. And you can make mistakes if you don't understand how AI works. AI is working on the information that is available to it on social media platforms, on generally out on websites, etc., etc. So it tells Lawrence that this model has a 360-degree camera, front park distance control, that handy beep, 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 beep. Yeah, electronic stability control, brake assist and traction control, and electronic brake distribution, which is a nice to have, a lot of those are very nice to have safety features, right? So Lawrence didn't inspect the car. Lawrence lives in Joburg. The dealership's in Joburg. I know it's a big place, but this is not someone that's buying long distance like our poor lady last week or the week before with her Amoda. Do you remember that horrible case?
Yes.
She had it trucked down to Cape Town, but this guy is all in the same region. They deliver the car to him at night on a truck. Now, that's the first mistake. That often happens. Or people sell a car and you come and look at it in failing light. Don't do that. It's an old trick. Don't accept that something is right if you can't properly look and check and interact with it. At night is a lot more difficult. So anyway, he signs that everything's cool. And then he discovers that he doesn't have all that spec that the AI told him it would have, because cars are marketed or spec'd differently for different markets, especially when it comes to shockingly safety technology. We've spoken about this on our show with the I've got global NCAP car testing results. They'll say, well, why doesn't this car in South Africa have traction control when it does in the European market? Okay, so the lesson is also don't just Google car specs as proof of what you're getting, because that spec that AI delivers to you nice and easily could very well apply to other markets. So in Lawrence's case, he's told, oh, okay, and now he's being shunted between manufacturer and dealership. But he's told, if you want all that spec, it's going to cost you, we'll swap the car, we'll give you a higher spec one, but it's going to cost you 100,000 Rand more. He paid 355,000 Rand for this new car, by the way. So don't rely on a Google search to tell you what's in a car. You get the dealership to list all the spec, put it all down, do it properly, look at all the paperwork properly. And please, especially if you're living in the same area, drive the car first. You might think, what can go wrong? It's a new car, but it might not be defective, but it might not have the spec that you were led to be if it did. And also, it just might not suit you. The way the clutch takes, the way the drive position, whether, the accelerator is a bit jittery, all those things, you need to make sure it's right for you. So Paul Lawrence, I will be taking up this case once I have more information to go on. But I did establish via phone with him this morning that that's what he did. He just went and Googled and he said to me, they advertised. I said, I'm looking at AI generated spec here, Lawrence. Was there an advert with all that spec listed? No. So, and he wasn't a first time buyer either. So the modern ways of buying cars, really, guys, unless you really know your stuff, no, go to the dealership, drive the car, make sure it's right for you, check that you're getting what they say you're giving. This sort of quick and we'll deliver to you and sign and bank off. No, please, no. My inbox, if you need any persuading, I could just let you have 5 minutes with my inbox, my email inbox, and you would do it the old-fashioned way.
And I think
that's the lesson I want to drop them.
Yeah, I think that's a great one to kick off with, Wendy, because the assumption would be that if the specs are a certain way abroad, that they should be that way in South Africa, but it isn't always the case in terms of like what would be qualify as an add-on that you would have to pay extra for.
Exactly. That is the biggest thing I want to say here is that markets vary greatly when it comes to spec. So I suspect that the dealer saying, oh, just go and Google it, he knew what was going to happen. And he knew that Lawrence would think, oh, cool, that sounds great. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he has the EFT and truck the car and whatever. But a car arriving at night, that's the other thing. Don't do that. Don't agree to a handover of a car that happens at poor or no light, because there's a reason for that. It's very strategic.
All right, we need to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to pick up with the next one as we chat with Wendy Nola, consumer hacks and tips that we all need. But of course, at some point, we'll open up the lines as well for all of your consumer rights issues. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702.
And they're off. Out front, it's Doped Up Glory, followed closely by Whipped Into Shape. Little Too Young making a surprising early push, just 2 years old and already on her second race this week. Duct Tape Dreams taking the outside lane, tongue-tied and terrified, but hey, she's fast when she's scared. Discarded Glory stumbles at the back, used to be a champ, now just waiting for the knackery truck to the glue factory. Halfway through, it's beaten again, cracking the whip literally, pushing through the pain barrier, eyes wide, heart breaking, lungs bleeding. She doesn't know she can stop. Learned helplessness, they call it. We just call it racing. And at the final stretch, it's Doped Up Glory by a nose. She's done it. Oh wait, she's down. She's not getting up. Oh well.
Cruelty is staining horse racing. The NSPCA is calling for the industry to sign their racing code of conduct to hashtag Rein in the Pain. Show your support at nspca.co.za/Rein in the Pain.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Welcome to Nando's Customer Care. How can I fire up your...
Finally, can I actually just speak to the manager? It's about the chicken. Why did you marinate it for 24 hours? 24 hours, 86,400 seconds to marinate. Why?
Well, I mean, it is really tender, juicy, and that delicious Nando's peri-peri flavor just warms me up. And then you add any 3 sharing sides, and I guess, well, there is nothing like it. But that is my complaint. I can't complain.
Nando's, fire it up.
Satern, you've just graduated cum laude, but nothing says you're a genius quite like selling your car to We Buy Cars.
Absolutely. My car was an 18th birthday present, and it's time to move on to something a bit more mature.
So where did you hear about We Buy Cars?
All of my friends are using We Buy Cars. I would have had legit FOMO if I hadn't used them. And it was so quick. I did it on my laptop while sending around my CV.
Smart move, Tone. Graduated and upgraded. We Buy Cars. Geared for success, geared for you.
Doing the right thing has never sounded this good. The Office of the Tax Ombud brings you to the launch of their annual awareness campaign, Smart Taxpayers Do the Right Thing. Catch 702 Music with Pushaza Sibiya live from Menlyn Park Shopping Center next to Starbucks this Saturday with the Office of the Tax Ombud from 2 to 6 p.m. Join us to learn more about your tax rights and compliance, from lodging complaints against SARS, checking the status of existing ones, to speaking with tax ombud representatives, all while enjoying the smooth sounds of 702. 702 Music, live from Menlyn Park Shopping Center this Saturday with the Office of the Tax Ombud on 702. 702.
Nola knows.
18 minutes after 2 o'clock, we continue with our consumer rights feature, Nola Knows, with Wendy Nola, and we're giving you consumer hacks. And also feel free to share your consumer hacks that you have learned along the way. It's such an interesting journey that we've been on in this consumer rights feature, because both Wendy and myself learn as we go along. 011 883 0702, the WhatsApp line 072 702 1702. All right, what is the next one, Wendy?
Okay, so the lesson is this one goes out to people who are about to enter the house buying market, house, flat, apartment, whatever, or already there. And that is something you need to understand, is that many house sellers choose not to disclose issues such as damp, leaking roofs to prospective buyers, right? Some people unfortunately lie lie, I'm going to use that word, to get what they want. And failure to disclose something material is a form of a lie, and it's illegal, right? But there are those who want to sell their homes. They know they have damp and mold issues or leaking roofs, ceilings, but they don't disclose that on the mandatory form that property practitioners, let's call them estate agents, are required to obtain from the seller. Practitioners, estate agents works for me. So they've got to get the seller to fill out this disclosure form, right? And disclose the problems that they know about, the defects that they know about, so that that the buyer can make an informed decision. It sounds lovely, sounds wonderful protection, but I have come across enough cases to know that not everybody discloses what they should. Things that they most definitely know about. So Tennille of Joburg knows this all too well. She emailed me the last day or two to say, I'm dealing with hidden defects of seepage and mold in her property I bought in March. It's been transferred into her name. The seller omitted it from the property practitioner's regulatory authority disclosure form. There's the full name, the PPRA form. What she wants is for the seller to pay to have the defects fixed. The bad news is that this is going to require legal action. And you only have grounds for legal action if you can prove that the seller and possibly the estate agent as well knew about the issue and deliberately, willfully chose not to disclose it. And that proof is very hard to come by. I have one case that I love to quote that went to court and the woman won. And that was the buyer. There was mold and damp almost immediately. And long story short, she happened to come by an invoice that the building contractor had for something like 20 kilograms of polyfiller and other goods to cover over the mold, in other words, had bought on behalf of the seller shortly before the sale. So clearly the woman knew about the mold and set about papering over it, painting, polyfillering over it in order to sell the house. Okay, so but even if you have this proof, now you've got an expensive and long road through the legal system to get justice, as that woman with the polyfiller case did eventually. So what to do is not to rely on that disclosure form telling you about the integrity of a property. Just honestly, most cases I like to think that the disclosure is true and full and everything else, but there are many cases when it isn't. So do not even consider committing to buy a house without first paying a professional property company to do a full technical inspection. I'm talking companies such as House Check, Inspector Home Inspection South Africa. You can do a search. There's many to choose from. It's a few thousand rand. I mean, talking 3,000-4,000 rand. It is a drop in the ocean compared to what you're going to spend on the home, and compared to the issues, the problems, the nightmare you're going to have if there were undisclosed defects. So they check the integrity of the roof. They check that the boundary wall was built to building regulation specs. This also helps you in the case of if there's a storm and there's damage, your insurance company not coming and saying, oh, there were these issues, the wall's not to spec, we're going to repudiate your claim. I'm on about this a lot, as regular listeners will know, but for good reason, because I keep hearing from people like this latest case I've just got in. So I'm really begging people to do this. Don't commit to buying a house without it. Put it in the offer to purchase. It's conditional upon the inspection being done. You don't have to wait a long time for them to be done. It'll be done quickly. If the agent or the seller discourages this, please take that as a sign that you must walk on swiftly to another property. So that's the end of lesson number 2.
Okay, and I think that's a big one, especially because the OTP is legally binding. So make it conditional, not just on the inspection, but if, let's say, the owner says that they're going to sort something out, you must make sure that that is included there as well, because you won't have much to hold them to.
Yeah, so in some, I should clarify, and you're getting so good at this, Relebogile, you're going to be doing the show on your own, so I'll be redundant. But it's not necessarily that you're going to walk away from the property, but say they say, let's say in this case, they found this mold and damp that's been covered over and that is very likely to reappear very soon. You then, I would be inclined to walk away because I'm thinking, if you didn't disclose that, what else? What? I don't trust you. I don't trust you. But you could then say, okay, here's the quote. I've gone to a professional. Here's the quote to fix it. I will offer you what you want less that amount. And then the two parties can come to an arrangement. But in most cases, I think, unless the person really, it's their dream home and they absolutely have to have it. I think in most cases, it would be a case of, right, okay, thanks very much. That's too much for me to handle. I don't really want to be doing major repairs, remedial work after moving in. So I won't be taking the house. Thank you.
Ooh, okay, that's a very, very important one. Wendy, let's move on to the next one.
The third and last one is, will your phone display an SMS from your bank with your all-important one-time PIN even when the phone is locked? And I asked this question because Ned of Cape Town went kite surfing after work a few months ago. He left his car parked at a beach parking lot, and when he got back to it, he found that the locks had been tampered with and all his stuff, all his important stuff was gone. His wallet with all his bank cards, his driver's license, and his phone. So that's a nice starter kit for any fraudster, right?
Everything.
He later discovered everything. He later discovered that his account had been cleaned out, accounts, within an hour of him parking the car while he was still enjoying his kite surfing. This was now happening. There were online purchases, mainly betting sites, which is becoming a trend. He says, and that's a topic for another show. He said to me, this didn't make sense initially because the criminals would need to have FNB. I've named the bank. Sorry, I'm going to be taking this up with FNB. They would need to have verification through a one-time PIN, and my phone locks automatically and it's fingerprint protected. But this is how it happened. His bank sends the OTPs via the app or SMS to their client's phone, and these display as a standard function on most new smartphones, even when locked. So, and the one-time PIN was at the beginning of the message. So even with his phone locked, when the bank sent him, but ended up in the hands of the criminals who had his phone, their one-time PIN, they were able, even with the phone locked, to see them scrolling along. So I haven't had enough time to investigate how it works with every bank, but the lesson is, well, first of all, obviously don't leave your phone, wallets, ID, etc. in a parked car, especially in parking spots in sort of nature places where you're going walking, or this won't apply to Gauteng, but surfing or swimming or whatever the case may be, especially, late-ish afternoon on a weekday when the assumption might be that you've got all your stuff with you and that you're on your way home from work. And then you can do this, disable the display of SMSs and other notifications on your screen. That is very important because some of these will display even if the phone is locked and you don't want to give a present to somebody who has liberated you of your phone and now sitting with it in their hands and all the other details of your bank accounts. And it's just horrific. So I will be taking up that case as well. There's several aspects to it that I would like to investigate, and we'll come back with in another show. But the lesson that I wanted to share here was about notifications that still come through. Even on a locked device, you need to disable that.
I got you. And I think it's quite important that you're sharing that. There's something else that I wanted to share is outside of turning off notifications on a locked device where now a person can still go in. There are certain settings. I can speak for iPhone because that's the one I'm using, but there's certain settings on phones that you can select in terms of accessibility. So even if your phone has like a passcode that a person needs to access or biometrics, there are ways you can bypass it. So for example, if your phone is locked, you can swipe to the left to use a camera, for example, right? Where you don't need to unlock the phone to use the camera. But people that are smart are able to go via that way into a back door to get into your phone. So I think everybody needs to check their settings. Certain things need to be off. It might be under your accessibility. Don't let the phone be able to do anything or show anything while it is locked. And also set the timer that your phone automatically locks regularly. Because if you do forget and it's sitting somewhere and it gets stolen, you might be in big trouble. But we will pick this up, Wendy Nola, when we come back from the news, and maybe when you go to get feedback, not just from FNB, from the other banks as well, we can see if we're able to chat to 2 or 3 of the biggest cell phone brands in terms of accessing of one's things. Like, how is it that hackers are able to still, log onto your phone if you've put all these mechanisms in place? It is 2:30, time for your latest Eyewitness News headlines. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Relebogile. Good afternoon. Late former Deputy President David Mabotja has been remembered as a disciplined leader who had little patience for late coming. Members of the ANC have been sharing some of their most treasured moments with Mabotja at a memorial service at the Pola village in Bombela. A bail hearing for a woman accused of kidnapping is underway in the Bellville Magistrates Court. The accused, Semenya Jacobs, faces charges for allegedly snatching a child from the Middestad Mall. Jacobs was found with a 9-day-old baby in her home 2 weeks ago. And the EU says it takes anti-Semitic comments, including praise. Or rather, the EU says it takes anti-Semitic comments. The EU says it takes anti-Semitic comments, including praise for Adolf Hitler by Elon Musk's AI chatbot on X, extremely seriously. Screenshots from the platform showed several posts made by the bot known as Grok, where praised the Nazi leader and claimed Jewish people promoted anti-white hate. Those are the headlines. This Eyewitness News and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in the Four Ways Randburg area, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N1 northbound between Malibongo Drive and Winnie Mandela, also in the Midrand area. Expect heavy delays. This is on the N1 southbound heading into Sandton, on the N1 southbound between Allendale Road and the Batlu interchange. Also driving through Sandton, traffic remains sluggish on the M1 northbound between Marlborough Drive and the Batlu interchange. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville at Moederfontein Road and Van Riebeek. Traffic lights also not working in Alex at Marlborough Drive and Far East Bank. If you come across any other traffic issues, please SMS us on 31702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
702 delivers
on the matters that matter to you.
I'm Deirdre from Oakden. I've probably been listening to 702 for about 40 years. I listen most of the day, and I really can't imagine my life or my day without 702. I'm kept up to date with all the news, and I must say that I personally believe I hear the news before anybody else. When I hear it on 702, nobody else has heard it yet. And I'd just like to say, keep up the good work.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts.
so we can deliver more on what matters to you.
702 listens.
Let's walk the talk.
Rise to the challenge in Betway's Climb and Conquer with 50 million rand in prizes to be won, including 8 brand new cars. Climb our leaderboards until 27 July with bets on sports, slots, table, crash games, and more. Make the weekly top 10 at any point for a chance to drive away in a VW Polo, Toyota Hilux Double Cab, or High Ace. Plus, weekly leaderboard winners will earn a guaranteed 100,000 rand cash. Only at Betway. Terms and conditions apply. Licensed and regulated by the Western Cape Gambling and Racing Board. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to participate. For gambling counseling, call SARGF on 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp 076 675 0710.
Dreaming of a tropical escape?
World Leisure Holidays has your ticket to paradise with exclusive getaways to the Indian Ocean Islands. From the beaches of Mauritius and the Maldives to the charm of Madagascar, Seychelles, Zanzibar and more, your dream destination awaits. Take advantage of early bird specials and pay stay offers. Call 011-285-2500 and mention 702 for a mystery discount. Or follow us on social media or contact your nearest travel professional. Start planning your escape today. T's and C's apply.
The world of work is constantly changing. It's faster, smarter, digital. Nashua can help your business evolve. Cut down your admin and automate manual tasks with our software. Protect your data with backup and recovery. And keep hackers out with cybersecurity. All the tech to revolutionize your business. Nashua. More than print.
Are you looking for the best savings on spectacles? At Specsavers, enjoy 1,500 Rand off when you get tested at South Africa's trusted and most established optical group. Get 1,500 Rand off all frames in store, or use your 1,500 Rand off on our leading lens enhancements, such as drive light lenses that reduce artificial glare whilst driving. Book online or call your nearest store today. Affordable eye care, Specsavers. T's and C's apply.
In this year's Nedbank Business Ignite on 702, we put the spotlight on small businesses who dared to disrupt the industry, awarding one winner 200,000 Rand in cash and a 200,000 Rand advertising package.
It's good for businesses because what we did in automating businesses' financial reporting, we've managed to reduce the amount of time that it takes to prepare their financial statements from 2 weeks to just 2 days, even a day, which is a game changer. And what it does, we have tools that provide businesses and business leaders with real-time information of what's happening in their business in terms of their financial landscape, so that they are ahead of the game. They are able to make informed and timely decisions.
Nedbank Business Ignite on 702. Go to igniteyourbusiness.co.za to view the finalists and winner for 2025. Nedbank, an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. Coming up
on 702 Drive with John Perlman.
702 Drive with John Perlman is coming up from 3 to 6 p.m. John Perlman, happy Thursday. How are you doing?
Doing well, thanks, and good afternoon to you.
John, have you ever lied to your doctor? Or exaggerated or underreported?
Yeah, I think underreporting would be something that I might have indulged in a little bit. You know, if the kind of typical scenario, and I've tried not to do this because it's really unwise, but if they say, look, you know, if this thing gets worse, we might have to take some more slightly drastic steps. And then I'd kind of say, well, actually, I'm feeling a lot better because I don't. But I mean, there's nothing smart about that, because whatever the drastic step is, getting more ill or, you know, an injury in your shoulder or whatever. I mean, I had and still have problems with one of my shoulders. And I remember there was somebody said, no, you're going to have surgery. And then, you know, kind of my shoulder felt a lot better as soon
all
as
of a sudden, yes,
said that I needed surgery, and I kind of went a little vague on it.
My son has
Never
a thing.
had the surgery.
We'll say, Mommy, see, I'm coughing. I can't go to school. I said, oh, ish. He says, I'm sick. I said, yeah, ish. Hey, such a pity about that ice cream. Yo, Mommy, I'm feeling so much better.
Yes. If only all ailments could be cured with the promise
of ice cream. What's coming up on the show today?
So, Relebogile, and good afternoon to all the listeners. It's a year since an inquest court reached a finding that people could be prosecuted and should be for their conduct in what led to the death of so many people in the Life Esidimeni catastrophe. 1 year on, no indication at all from the NPA as to what they're going to do next. Have they said no, nothing to? It's just no indication at all. We're going to look into that after 5 o'clock. We've also tried to get the NPA on. I hope they'll respond and respond positively so we can look into this. A couple of by-elections with some interesting results, particularly involving the Democratic Alliance. We'll catch up on those with Wayne Sussman. We'll have Justice Minister Mamoloko Kubaya spoke about the story yesterday, her views on the role that women who earn enough ought to be paying in child maintenance. We've got her today. So we'll be doing that at 10 minutes past 4. And then yesterday we heard about some research done and then published in the New York Times about the extent to which South African police use torture to get outcomes before they get people to court, get confessions and so on. We hope to get a response from the policing union. We'll be doing that after 5, and we'll ask our listeners this question, Relebogile. What is the most inappropriate place or time where you burst out laughing?
A funeral.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people say funerals.
And memorial service.
Yeah.
Unless, of course, people are becoming a lot more relaxed when they celebrate a person's life and they share beautiful anecdotes and things about them where you'll be like, well, if he were here right now, he would be the first to say blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then people laugh. But I can't imagine when the coffin's going down, like some random person bursts out laughing. I know this is an inopportune time, but I'm sure lots of people do it, is when the doctors give you not so great news. Yeah. Because sometimes there are many people who out of shock start giggling, like they don't know what to do when the doctor's like, listen, this is stage 4 and there's nothing we can do. And they're like, are you for real? Like out of the pure shock. And maybe I would say probably not during a live broadcast of EWN News.
Yeah. Well, we've got a good size list there already. I hope our listeners add to that. 3 great examples.
There we go. 702 Drive with John Pillman coming through from 3 to 6 p.m.
702.
Nola knows.
All right. Nola knows with Wendy Nola. Our consumer rights feature. The lines are open. 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. Wendy Nola, are you ready? Because we've got a marathon up ahead of us. To all of to everybody waiting on the lines, please remember not to mention brand names. I know it's so easy to forget, but it just means less work for the team and Wendy and myself. And also, let's try and get to the story quite quickly. Lindiwe in Germiston, go ahead.
Hi, Gele. How are you?
Good. Go ahead.
My question was, my car was repossessed after missed payments. So I just want to know if I'm still liable. It was sold on auction, apparently, but by the bank. So now, am I still liable for that? Those months that I did not pay?
Ooh,
that was my question.
Good question, Lindiwe.
Hi, Lindiwe. So the months you didn't pay would have been factored into your full outstanding amount. The bank would then sell the car via auction, and whatever it fetched would then be used to offset that total debt. And don't make the mistake of thinking car's gone, debt gone, because it's not. You could still be liable to the bank, and probably are if it was a fairly new car. You would still be liable to the bank for what's owing. So that's the most awful situation where you don't have the car and you're still paying the bank, because of how the numbers work. So as I said, the missed payments would have gone into the pot with what was still owing on the car at the time she defaulted, along with interest. So you owe the bank, say, whatever, 200,000 rand, and then if the car sold for 100,000 rand or 150 or whatever the case was. Then you still owe the bank the balance, and best you make, they should get hold of you. But I have cases, and not all that seldom, where the person thought it was over. They lost the car, end of story. They didn't follow up with the bank, and then they come after them for, a huge amount that's now got more interest added on, that they now have to still settle.
So, question, Wendy, what document should someone like Lindiwe be requesting from the bank to basically confirm that whatever's done is done?
Yeah, so right to the vehicle asset finance division of the bank, or whoever's financing the car, and just give the car's details of the car and your account number, and say, I believe the car was sold on auction. please could you clarify the situation in terms of what I owe the bank? What did the car fetch on auction? What was the outstanding? Was the full outstanding debt? What did you fetch at auction? And what, if anything, do I still owe on the car? If nothing, please confirm this in writing.
Okay, thank you so much, Lindy. We're wishing you all of the best in your coming back from that experience. Isaac in Orange Farm. Hi, Isaac.
How are you, really?
Yes, good. Go ahead, Isaac.
I did have a problem with this service provider. I took 2 phones I was to pay 600 rand every month. And then they didn't tell me that they didn't get money. They didn't go to the bank because of the network and all these kind of things. They're telling me after 3 months that I'm in areas.
Oh, so are you saying you took 2 phones, so when the money was now deducted from your account, they didn't tell you that it didn't go through, so then it became in arrears?
Yes.
Okay.
Told me, well, it's in areas, and then I said to them, okay, let's start this thing, all of it from the scratch, because and then it's not my problem, it's your problem. Because me, I did sign with you, the contract that I did sign with you, it says you will deduct the money through the bank. And then you come after 3 months and then you tell me this thing, I'm in areas, I must pay some certain amount and then that I can't afford. And then me, I'm willing to pay. Let's start everything from the scratch, because you said it's your problem. Yes, I understand.
So are you at a place where basically now you've been blacklisted, but
Yes.
they're not allowing you to pay? And I think, Wendy, we've touched on this before, that once a certain process has started, like a handover, you can't now go to the service provider and pay. Am I correct, Wendy?
It depends. Isaac, has your account been handed over to an external debt collector that is now contacting you for payment? Has your contract been cancelled? What's the story there? I understood that they just want coming to you now and they just want you to pay 3 months all in one lump sum, which you say you can't.
My problem is they did phone me after 3 months, and then they said they are talking about some extra charges that are there, and then which is where we started to quarrel. I started to quarrel with them. I said no. Because you said it's your mistake. Why now I must pay this? I must pay some extra money that I didn't make any mistake. Even me, I didn't go check to my bank that you are busy deducting, and then when sometimes you can take a decade to go check that. This what you call is busy taking the money.
Debit order.
And yes, and then the other companies that I got, they are deducting. They are getting money. How this one didn't get money? And then I said, yes.
I'm gonna jump in here, and I'm gonna ask you to email me. So that I can see the account and what they've done. My suggestion to the network service provider in question would be to say, if you've conceded that this was your issue, and it strikes me that it didn't just happen to you, yes, you do have some obligation to check that your payments are being made, to check your bank statements and all the rest, but they've considered it was their issue. You do still owe the money. You've had the use of the service. That's not working for us so well today, I must say. You've had the use of their service, and you've got the 2 phones, so you need to pay for them. But any extra charges relating to their mistake needs to fall away, and perhaps they would be open to a payment arrangement where you spread the 3 months over 6 to 9 months. You're not paying this big lump sum that you didn't budget for. So if you send me that email, Isaac, I'll see what I can do. Okay, just put in the subject line as discussed on 702 so that I can find it easily.
Thank you so much, Isaac. Stay on the line so our producers can give you the details. Riaz, Bradley, Wisdom, I see you. We'll be back in a moment.
It took time to create the life you've built. Every milestone, every moment, you've earned it. Indra takes the time to understand what's priceless to you, tailoring insurance to match a life of distinction. True peace of mind comes from knowing that everything you've worked for is insured with precision. It starts with a conversation. It starts with helloindra.co.za. Indra Risk Services is an authorized financial services provider.
When it comes to protecting your workforce, trust the workwear brand that has been protecting workers for over 150 years, Sweetall. Sweetall has overalls and uniform solutions for every industry, so your team is safe, comfortable, and ready to tackle any challenge. Visit our new Boksburg showroom, shop A1 Atlas Road, Westwood, Boksburg, or go to sweetall.com today. Sweetall, we never let you down. Superior protective workwear since 1871.
Did you know that the CSIR International Convention Center has over 40 years experience in hosting international, local and national business events? Located on a tranquil campus in Pretoria East within the Knowledge Hub and Science Diplomacy Capital, the city of Tshwane. This fit-for-purpose convention center is ideal for your association, congress or other business events. For more information, visit csiricc.co.za. The CSIR International Convention Center, where smart minds meet.
Just like your last breakup, commitment is messy. Leave the chaos behind and find something new to hold on to with Rentosa. Discover subscriptions on tech, appliances and more that will make your heart go bum, bum, bum. No red flags here, only green flags like month-to-month payments, 0 penalty fees and the flexibility to upgrade or downgrade whenever. Not feeling the connection? No ghosting needed. Simply return it for something new that'll give you that spark you're looking for. Commitment is messy. Just Rentosa it. Download the app, visit the website and join our WhatsApp channel.
As the official retail partner of the Springboks, Pick n Pay is proud to back the Boks and give you the chance to be the ultimate smart supporter with Pick n Pay ASAP. Money or the Boks on 702. WhatsApp your name, ID number and the word ASAP to 072 702 1702. You could face the ultimate choice, a mystery Springbok supporter prize or Pick n Pay ASAP vouchers worth up to 2,000 Rand. It's time to show your Boks spirit. Money or the Boks with Pick n Pay ASAP. Friday on 702 Drive with John Perlman. T's and C's on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Nola knows.
8 minutes to 3 o'clock. 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line 072-702-1702. We continue with your calls. Bradley from Pretoria. Go ahead. You've got an issue with a cell phone contract agreement.
Yes. Good afternoon. So I have a problem with my contract that I had with a service provider. It was basically 5 gigs a month with 500 minutes airtime. So I had a call last year, December, which they said they were going to up only the gigs, so from 5 gigs to 10 gigs, which when I asked them the question if they will keep the contract the same, they said it was fine. So come January, there was only 10 gigs of data and no airtime. When I contacted them again, they said to me, no, go to the nearest store, which I did. Went to the nearest store, they said it wasn't them, it was an outside company. Got hold of the outside company, phoned them, spoke to them. It was just like an ongoing thing. It's gone like 6-7 months now with no thing, which I'm paying more for the 10 gigs, but still don't have airtime. Just want to know how you go about navigating this.
All right, Wendy.
And as Wendy always says, and I always listen to her, she always says, please play back the recordings, which I've asked them
Yes.
A few times, and which they didn't want to. Well, she said the lady, when we spoke to her, she said she listened to it to herself.
Ah.
Okay.
Bradley, you are a true student of Nola Knows. Wendy, what happens in a situation like this?
Oh my gosh, this is so awful. Okay, so this, Bradley, you've given me yet another case in support of why I say don't take out cell phone contracts over the phone. It's quick, it's easy, but these things happen. And you have a right to that call recording. This thing of I listened and it's fun just blows my mind. But when I get involved in these cases, I just jump straight to the cell phone network service provider. Those marketing companies are employed or not employed, but are engaged by them to do the marketing, to sell these contracts over the phone. But the network is responsible for their behavior. So, cut out the middleman. I would go straight to whatever cell phone company it was and say, this is what was allegedly offered. This is what he's got. Please retrieve the call recording. And if it's as he says, then he needs to be, what do you need to happen? You want a whole whack of airtime for how many months has this been going on, Bradley? 6 to 7 months.
It's going on from last year, December until now, which we still didn't get any information back from these guys. So every time you phone them, it's like an half an hour because you need to speak to this person and that person. So while we at it, Vodacom says it's not their issue because it's an outside company. Because when I went to the store, it said they don't handle it. It's an outside company. So I said, okay, so then how do we get recordings to here? Because I specifically asked them if the contract was going to change from what they were offering us, from 5 gigs to 10 gigs with the airtime. They said yes. Now there's no airtime,
so they lied.
but I'm paying more. Yes, so they lied. And which they don't want to play the recordings back to me.
Okay. The fact that somebody at the cell phone network, did you name them, or I'm just imagining it? To be honest,
He did name them, but it's okay. It's okay. We are all human and we forget.
Fine.
It's okay.
I did it just now anyway when I didn't mean to. So with the bank, but so no problem. I will take up this case, Bradley, if you send me a detailed email about it, and I'm going to direct you to my website, which is wendynola.coza, because I have a form on there that directs you to give me all the right details that I need. So please do that. We'll repeat the address at the end. But I really want you to tell me in that email form, Bradley, exactly as close as possible who it was at the network that told you that you had to phone the marketing company, because that is unacceptable. You're paying your money to Vodacom, and the marketing agents work for them. They are responsible for the actions of the marketing company, put it that way. So I will get this right for you. I have a little, the last field in my form, my website form, is what would you regard as a reasonable resolution? So are you wanting to be get all that airtime credited to you? Do you want some kind of a refund? What do you want? Do you want whatever you want? You put it there, because I don't want to guess what you would consider to be a way of making this right.
All right. Thank you so much, Brady. Okay. Stay on the line for those details from Wendy Nola. We didn't have time to take this one, Wendy, but maybe in 15 seconds, you can tell me what options does a person have if they keep getting SMSs about a TV license that doesn't belong to them? How do they get it resolved? Because they keep calling. And funny enough, I was getting messaged about a TV license that didn't belong to me. But when I did call, it turned out it was somebody who used to work for me that had me as like their reference. And I then ended up being the one to tell them this person is no longer even alive and I don't have a family contact. Yeah. So what options are available?
Okay, it's often a case of a recycled cell number you inherited, it's some kind of mistake. I would SMS back and say, give your name and say, this is not my TV license issue. Please stop SMSing me. Sometimes it's not effective, but at least you've tried to put the record straight, and eventually they do stop. All of us have had them. They stop eventually. Just ignore it after you've told them that it's not you.
Thank you so much, Wendy Nola. Back together next week.
All roads will converge and thousands of stories will come together as one. Because this year's Victory for One is a victory for all. As the 2025 Sanlam Cape Town Marathon continues along the route to becoming Africa's first major on the 18th and 19th of October. Will you be joining the Cape and the rest of the world? Enter now at capetownmarathon.com and be a part of history in the making when you run the 2025 Sanlam Cape Town Marathon. Because you do count.
Cape Town, you have
The 2025 Sanlam Cape Town Marathon, proudly supported by 702. Join us as we run towards Africa's first major.
Did you know that every hour someone in South Africa is diagnosed with blood cancer or a blood disorder? DKMS Africa helps patients find a matching stem cell donor, ensuring that patients get the transplant they need. This Mandela Month, be part of the mission. Donate 50 rands towards the Swap Kits Save Lives campaign. Your donation will help more people register as potential stem cell donors. Visit dkmsafrica.org today. Every rand and every swab count in the fight against blood cancer.
Brush, stroke, paint, color, protect, and admire. From roof paint to exterior textures and interior silk, Warrior Paints has it all. The product range and stylish colors are amazing. And what's more, Warrior Paints has crushed prices for incredible savings. Enjoy that good old-fashioned personal service you deserve. For price, quality, variety and service, Warrior Paints is street ahead. Warrior Paints, affordable, lasting, luxury.
Thank you so much for joining us. Back tomorrow. It's 3 o'clock.
This is EWN.
ANC members gathered to remember Mabotja, and alleged baby kidnapper applies for bail. Good afternoon, I'm Khomoto Modise. Late former Deputy President David Mabotja has been remembered as a disciplined leader who had